Hi, folks. First of all, is Trump leading the way with real solutions for America's future? That's one question. And the other question is, should parents be held accountable or should we fix the system? Now, we're closing in on Election Day, and the latest numbers are telling a story. According to the latest counts, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have participated in 38 interviews, while Kamala Harris and Tim Walz just one. A very bad one, pre-recorded on CNN. It seems that Trump and Vance are fully engaging with the American public, getting their message across, while Harris and Walz have been notably absent from the media. This raises questions about who is really ready to take on the hard questions and communicate their policies to the people they hope to serve. And that's just the intro. Welcome to hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin, where we bring you the latest news with a constitutionalist for liberty viewpoint and a moderate/conservative Republican perspective. My name's Peter Boykin. I'm an American political commentator, a citizen journalist, an activist, and a constitutionalist for liberty. And the latest polling data, Trump sits at 46.3%, with Harris slightly ahead at 48.1%. Still, I don't understand these polls. I'm not somebody who's hold to these polls. It absolutely makes no sense in my mind how Harris could be beating Donald Trump in anything other than being wrong at everything. As mail-in voting begins in North Carolina, here in my state, the stakes couldn't be higher. Meanwhile, Newsmax, a conservative news outlet, has filed for an IPO, which shows the growing demand for more voices outside the mainstream media. Also, 35% of swing state voters report struggling to make ends meet, like most of us. This economic strain is going to be a major factor in how Americans cast their ballots. Now, Donald Trump continues to roll out major economic policies, focusing on revitalizing America's economy. In a speech to the Economic Club of New York, Trump proposed cutting the corporate tax rate to 15% for companies manufacturing in the U.S., prohibiting illegal aliens from obtaining mortgages, and creating a government efficiency commission headed by none other than Elon Musk. Musk, known for his entrepreneurial genius, accepted the role, stating that he would serve the country without pay, title, or recognition. This shows the alignment between Trump's vision for economic reform and the tech titans' willingness to step up for our nation. Oh God, I wish the guy was born in America. He could be president. Trump also emphasized the need to address the impact of the Biden-Harris policies that have led to skyrocketing food prices and rents, making this issue a focal point of his campaign. Now let's dive into the headlines. Hunter Biden has pled guilty to federal tax charges, dodging a trial that would have exposed his father to public scrutiny, even more than he's getting now. This guilty plea raises questions about potential corruption and favoritism, as critics argue that a trial would have brought more transparency. This case has drawn intense public attention, as the field for the investigation was insufficiently thorough, and that Hunter Biden was given a slap on the wrist to protect the Biden family from deeper scrutiny. And remember, they're running their steam rolling over Donald Trump over every little thing, but he's on the right, and the people on the left, they never get fully in trouble. And they get the softball media, they get the softball everything. And they just continue doing what they do. I mean, January 6th versus anything the left has done just as bad. And we got political prisoners in jail. And still in jail. Trump's the only one who's going to get them out. And I'm so sad that there's so many fellow Republicans who have, like, given up on the January 6 people. They don't talk about January 6. They seem to not care. It's crazy. And I know things weren't perfect on that day. There's a lot of craziness. But almost all the people in jail, almost all, don't deserve to be there. Meanwhile, America First Legal is taking bold steps in the fight for election integrity. They have filed a lawsuit against all 15 Arizona counties for failing to remove illegal immigrants from the voter rolls. How they got there to begin with, who knows? This issue is critical as the integrity of our election hinges on ensuring that only eligible citizens are voting. With proper safeguards, the very foundation of our constitutional republic is at risk. Our voting rights are critical, folks. In international news, UFC champion Conor McGregor appears to have announced his intention to run for president of Ireland in the 2025 election. While this may sound surprising, McGregor has long been known for his outspokenness on political and social issues. If he follows through, it will be interesting to see how his candidacy affects the political landscape in Ireland. And I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on there. Back in the U.S., the FBI has raided high-profile officials in the New York Police Department, as well as Mayor Eric Adams' administration. This raid has put a spotlight on potential corruption and raises concerns about the transparency within the leadership of one of the nation's largest cities, and failing as well. Meanwhile, in media news, more than 11 million DirecTV subscribers could miss the Trump-Harris debate on ABC due to an ongoing contract dispute. This could significantly limit the audience of one of the most crucial political debates of the election cycle. And I'm going to tell you this, if you're got DirecTV, get yourself a Roku or something like that, because you can always turn the Roku on, get on the internet, and look up a ABC affiliate or something on there and still watch the debate. So just because you can't see it on ABC doesn't mean you can't see it other places. We need to let people know that. Now, a major endorsement has just been announced. Malik Obama, the half-brother of former President Barack Obama, has thrown his support behind Donald Trump. Malik has been a vocal critic of his brother's policies, and his endorsement further highlights the divisions within the Obama family over the direction of this nation. And it reminds me of the Waltz family, who also has not endorsed Kamala Harris, has not endorsed Waltz, Tim, and has endorsed Donald Trump fully. Meanwhile, the Brazilian Supreme Court justice who banned X, Twitter, in Brazil is now under fire for previously petitioning the government to block citizens' accounts due to their political beliefs. This highlights the concerning trend of governments around the world cracking down on free speech and political dissent under the guise of control. This is everything that we've been worrying about 1984 and other books. When the government gets too much control in your lives, they run your lives. Instead of trying to make your lives easier, they make them harder. That's why the government has to have limited government, limited ability, and follow its rules and constitution, especially in America. Finally, the mainstream media continues to show their bias, and coverage surrounded Kathy's son, an aide of New York Governor Kathy Hochul, who was arrested for spying on behalf of Communist China. Not one mainstream outlet, ABC, CBS, NBC, NPR, or PBS, mentioned her affiliation with the Democrat Party. This glaring omission reflects the selective reporting of facts, making it clear that the media's priorities are not aligned with truth-telling, but rather with protecting certain political figures. And I couldn't even talk about that on TikTok because they removed that video, which is why TikTok is now getting its own little bitty blurb video that's trying to filter it so they won't take it offline, but encouraging people to come see these real videos, these real long form videos that for some reason I'm actually now able to get on YouTube without a problem. Google, actually doing what's right. In a tragic turn of events, folks, a school shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia has left 4 dead and 9 others injured. The shooter, 14-year-old Colt Gray, was known to the FBI and has made online threats prior. Get this, he's been known by the FBI for over a year. They've done nothing. Nothing. Gray, it sounds like what they did with Donald Trump, huh? And his shooter. Gray was confronted by a heroic school resource officer who likely prevented more loss of life. The FBI has been under scrutiny before, failing to take action on other shooters known to them, such as those at Yuletide, Parkland, and Sandy Hook. And this begs the question, why aren't these warning signs being taken more seriously? Meanwhile, Kamala Harris wasted no time in politicizing the tragedy, claiming it as an election issue. This is the same Harris who previously advocated for removing police officers from schools. She had gotten her way. If she had gotten her way, the SRO, Student Resource Officer, that stopped Gray wouldn't have been there. And this tragedy could have been far, far worse. The failure here isn't just on gun control. It's about a system that fails to address mental health concerns in our youth. This recent mass shooting in Georgia involving that 14-year-old once again raises concerns over the failure of the school system and mental health oversight. Schools which spend a significant amount of time with children miss critical warning signs that could have potentially prevented the tragedy. This is not just about gun control. It's about a system that repeatedly overlooks the mental health of our children. What's even more troubling is that the parents in this case are now being held responsible for the action of their child. We live in a society, folks, where parents are often stripped of their ability to raise and discipline their children. Yet they are expected to answer for their children's missteps. Parents can be charged for things like truancy, or in this case, giving a child an access to a firearm, which I can understand. But even when the parent did not commit the crime themselves, they're getting the book thrown at them. And this leads to a slippery slope, where we might start holding parents responsible for other actions, like buying their child a car that's used later in a deadly automobile accident. Where do we draw the line? The real issue here is not the firearm, but the system's failure to address mental health concerns. The focus on gun control and punishing parents distracts from the root problems, such as the lack of adequate mental health resources and early intervention in schools. This approach not only undermines the Second Amendment, but also shifts attention away from the crucial and critical flaws in the system. Instead of focusing on restricting gun ownership, we should be addressing the societal failures that allow these tragedies to happen. Now here's the hashtag #GoRightRemix. Recap remix. As we edge closer to Election Day, Trump and Vance dominate in the media circuit, while Harris and Walz fall behind with only one interview. The latest polls shows a tight race, and the economic hardships facing Americans will surely play a pivotal role in reshaping or shaping the final outcome. We have yet another tragic school shooting with a young shooter who was known by the FBI, went on a rampage, and despite clear warning signs, authorities failed to act in time. The larger issue here is the failure of mental health in schools to intervene where students show signs of danger. And yet, politicians like Kamala Harris politicize such tragedies while undermining the very police presence that stopped the shooter. This is a national crisis that goes beyond gun control. It's about fixing broken systems. This just further highlights failures within the system to address mental health and react to credible threats. Despite Kamala Harris politicizing the event, it was the presence of a school resource officer that prevented further bloodshed. The need for mental health intervention rather than focusing on gun control is very crystal clear. And in recent headlines, Hunter Biden, guilty plea, dodged a trial that might have exposed more of the Biden family's dealings. Meanwhile, America's first legal lawsuit in Arizona highlights the importance of safeguarding our voter rolls, while Malik Obama's endorsement of Trump reflects how divisions within families can mirror broader societal splits. Internationally, Conor McGregor's possible presidential run in Ireland has caught the attention of many, showing the global nature of political change. Now, let's not forget the media's refusal to name Kathy Shon's son's political affiliation, Democrat Party, after her arrest for spying for Communist China, the CCP. This narrative being pushed is not an unbiased one. It's about shaping public opinion. Meanwhile, the FBI raids on high-profile New York officers further fuel concern about corruption in major cities like New York. And Trump's economic policies, which include major tax cuts and a partnership with Elon Musk, offer a sharp contrast to the Biden-Harris economic struggles facing everyday Americans. Trump is positioning himself as the candidate who can turn around an economy that many are struggling under. Now, for more information, I urge you to visit GoRightNews.com, and don't forget to check out Go Right News on Rumble.com. You can also hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin on YouTube, Small Little Bird on TikTok, Facebook, and other platforms like Instagram. You can help to support our mission by donating at Cash App at $ Peter Boykin, the number 1. And links are available at GoRightNews.com and PeterBoykin.com. Together, let's keep America on the right track. I urge you to hashtag Go Right. Peace. See you later. God bless.